Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am your girl Thlologelo Rampa, and this is Relocate to Australia with Promise, your #1 DIY relocation platform. So if you're looking for information on how you can relocate to Australia, this bird is disturbing me. So if you're looking for information on how you can relocate to Australia or anywhere else in this world, you are at the right channel. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And hopefully you'll get information and also the courage to finally make that decision to relocate. Anyways, you guys, let me get down to today's business. I'm going to be talking about something that has been an issue for a lot of people that I've been communicating with, especially those who are in their matured ages, where they want to know, am I able to relocate after the age of 40 or 45? What will that look like for me? Should I be scared? Should I rethink my decision? All those kind of worries that come with the age factor. When you're going to be looking for a more permanent situation, if you're going to be wanting to live in a particular country for X amount of years, if you relocate after the age of 45, it might be a bit challenging, and I'll go into it just shortly. So as you guys know, I'm 28 years old. My husband is 14 years older than me, meaning that he is already in his 40s. When we relocated to Australia in 2019, he was 39, but lucky enough for us, we had applied for 2 visas simultaneously, the TSS visa and the permanent residency visa. With the TSS visa, the good thing about it is that it does not have any age limits, and I have had a discussion about the TSS visa in some of my videos. I will link that up for you guys, and I'll also leave it in my description down below just in case you have not watched it. So with the TSS visa, the good thing is it does not have any age requirements, so you can relocate at any point in time. I'm not too sure how it would work if you were in your 60s, but I think about the ages of like 45 going upwards, you can come to Australia with that visa. So okay, fine. With that out of the way, knowing that you can relocate on a TSS visa, what about a permanent residency visa? With the permanent residency visas, there are a lot of factors that you need to consider. There are a lot of streams and there are a lot of ways in which you can get a permanent residency visa, and we'll discuss it on a later stage because the permanent residency visa discussion is a very long one. But just to sum it up for you guys, there is a point system that is used for some permanent residency visas, and as you heard, I said some permanent residency visas. So we did the point stream visa, so where you'd have to meet the point requirements in order for you to qualify for that visa. So a way in which you accumulate those points is by you having your skills assessment done, your English test, your age, and what else do they look at? I forgot, but then there are certain things that you can put together in order for you to get a certain point. The good thing about the Australian Home Affairs website is that it calculates the points for you. So you just put in there the answers to whatever you're being prompted, and then it tells you, okay, fine, you have 60 points, 70 points, 75 points, 85 points, and then it tells you if you qualify for that independent point stream visa. So the points that you get will determine whether you qualify for that visa or not. So in our situation, here was the dilemma. I did not have the work experience that was required in order for us to get the points that we needed to get the visa that we wanted to apply for. My husband had the work experience, he had the skills assessment, he had everything going, he had the English test and everything, but the problem was the age. So when we applied for the visa, he was 39 and he was turning 40 the following year. So we applied for our visa in 2018. So if our visa had not been picked up at the time that it was picked up, we were literally looking at about 6 months before my husband's point dropped significantly, meaning that we would not qualify for that visa anymore. Just about 6 months, imagine. So we were literally crossing fingers because he would have lost 10 points because of age. So I'll show you this chart that breaks down the ages for you guys so that you can understand what I'm talking about. At this point in time, the highest points that you can get for your age is when you're between the ages of 25 and 33. You can get a sum of 30 points, meaning that if you are within those ages, you are in a good position to get a permanent residency visa. Okay, so if you are between the ages of 18 and 25, you get 25 points. And if you are between the ages of 33. So if you are between the ages of 33 and 40, you also get 25 points. So it means between 18 and 25, 25 points. Between 25 and 33, it's 30 points. Between 33 and 40 is 25 points. So it goes up and down 5 points, right? Here's where the tricky part comes. When you are between the ages of 40 and 45, you can only claim 15 points, meaning that you would have lost about 10 points just by turning a year older, being 40. So with my husband, that was the situation. He was turning 40 in June. Lucky enough, we got our permanent residency visa in May. I know, God and our ancestors. Dangerous. Very dangerous. We couldn't believe it either. When he turned 40, we were a month in our permanent residency visa. And I was like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father God. Oh, come on. Ooh. So obviously in my situation, when I relocated, I was 25 at that time. I would have been at the peak of me getting good points, getting 30 points for my visa. But because I did not have the work experience, it was no good. So now the question comes, what happens to me after the age of 45? So after the age of 45, you cannot claim any points for your permanent residency visa. Meaning that if you are not in the age brackets that I have been discussing, if you are younger than 18, you cannot claim any points. If you are older than 45, you cannot claim any points for a permanent residency visa. That is dependent on the point system, okay? But as I said, you heard me, Akira, in the beginning, I said, there are many ways of you getting a permanent residency visa. So it doesn't mean it is the end of the day. Just because you're 45, it means, Hashem, you will never get a permanent residency visa. You'll always be on a temporary visa. That is not the situation. There are many ways you can make up for the points. For some people, what they do, they try to work on their English test. Because again, with the English test, if you get high marks for your English test, you can get higher points, right? I'll explain that when I go into the permanent residency visa discussion. But for some people, what they do, if you have not yet relocated, they will try to work on their English test, right, to then get a permanent residency visa. What other people can do, and my advice is, get a temporary visa such as a TSS visa, because it does not have any age requirements for it. Come to Australia with a TSS visa. With the point system, there is a section where they ask you, have you worked in Australia or have you studied in Australia? If you have studied in Australia or you've worked in Australia, that gives you some points. So then you can use those points to supplement. So there are other ways in which you can get points by working for a period of time in Australia. And I think the more years you work, the more points you get. Am I correct? I think the more years you work, yeah. No, I don't think so. I'll check for you guys. You do get points for working in Australia. I think it is after about 2 years or a year, then you get points to say, okay, fine, at least you have worked in Australia. And you can also enroll in something and study. After you have studied, then you know, okay, fine, it's going to help you with your points. The other thing that I will highlight to you guys is that the point system is not the only way to get a permanent residency visa. I will say this and I'll repeat it all the time. It is not the only way you can get your permanent residency visa. Sometimes you can get a visa that is nominated and sponsored by your state, by your hosting state. Let's say, for example, I'm living in Queensland, I'm on a temporary visa, but I've been a good immigrant, I've been doing my job, I've been living in a regional area. I think if you live in a regional area, it is always good news. Okay, and the state is like, okay, fine, we can sponsor this person for a permanent residency visa. When they say sponsor, it doesn't mean they're going to give you money like the TSS visa, like the employee sponsored visa. They're kind of just endorsing you. They're saying, okay, fine, we want this person to live here permanently and we're happy with them. This is after the age of 45, okay? And then now also, this is a visa that came after we had gotten our PR visa and had relocated. I think a year after we came, they introduced a permanent residency visa for people who want to live in a regional area. I am pro-regional living. I'm pro-regional area living. The reason being, I was born, bred, buttered in the village, so the city is not really for me. The traffic, I cannot deal with it. But I always tell people that when you're an immigrant and you're willing to serve people who are in a regional area, I think that kind of like builds up your rep for immigration and they're happy with you and they might give you a permanent residency visa. The thing is, with a permanent residency visa, that is your pathway to citizenship. And then after you have gotten your citizenship, you can literally live anywhere in Australia without you having this thing hanging over you to say, I am here on a visa, okay? Because again, even if you have a permanent residency visa, it is still a visa at the end of the day, meaning that if you do something that they don't like, your visa might get cancelled. Even if it was a permanent residency visa, a PR visa, allowing you to live in Australia for however many years, however long you want to live. I will do a video in a later stage where I talk about what might cause your visa to get cancelled, okay? So that you guys can avoid it. With our visa, it is the Subclass 190. It allows us to live in the regional area and the city. But me and my husband, we were like, city life ain't for us, child. But at least we've got that flexibility. Should we want to live in Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, we can do that freely without having to worry about the visa conditions. But there are some people where you are unable to live in the metro, in the city, because of visa restrictions. But after about 4 years of you entering into the country and being on a permanent residency visa, meaning that, let's say, for example, you were on a TSS visa for 2 years and then you got your permanent residency visa for the remaining 2 years, and you've completed 4 years from the day you arrived in Australia, that's when they start counting your 4 years, then you are eligible for your citizenship. So what they're basically saying is that you don't have to start counting day one from the day you got your permanent residency visa. It is from the day you entered. So for those of you who are above the age of 45, there is hope. There is hope for you to relocate to Australia. Some people worry about whether that is a good financial decision to make. And for me, I honestly believe it's a good financial decision to make. Reason being, let's say, for example, all these years you were working in whichever host country you're in. And then after you leave your job, obviously you're going to be getting your pension fund. It is going to help you to settle in this country. But this is the thing again, this is where it gets tricky. Let's say, for example, you retire in South Africa and your pension was like 3 million. Let's just say 3 million. When you come to Australia, you are no longer a millionaire. It is no longer a million. It is now 300,000 plus minus, depending on how far the rent has fallen. So fine, it is about 300,000. My suggestion is this, especially if that money is going to freak you out and it is going to stress you, don't invest that money in South Africa. You will not get good returns. You can put that money into buying a house or find other ways of investing that money. But also be very careful and be learned about the investment that you would want to go into. Because again, you do not want to get scammed and make horrible financial decisions with that money, because for all those years you spent working, you cannot get them back. The other thing that you should be very careful of regarding your pension fund or your retirement fund from whichever country you're coming from, if you come to Australia and you put it into a retirement fund here, that money is going to be locked until the day you retire. Okay, you will not have access to that money, whether you like it or not. It is locked. Australia is very strict when it comes to its retirement fund. So if that money goes in there, if you put that money into your, they call it super. So if you put it into your super, you will not have access to that money. It is going to be in there, but as I said, it is about 300,000. It is no good if it is in there. So find other ways in which you can invest your money. A good way, I believe, is probably buying a house or getting into like investment properties and all of that. It really depends on what you are comfortable with. But seek advice with what you should do with your retirement money. Do not use that money to try and settle into Australia, meaning like buying cars, going on holidays and doing all of that. Don't spend that money because you worked hard for it. And again, it is still your retirement fund. It is money that was going to help you after you have retired. The other thing that I will also highlight, retiring in a first world country is the best thing you would have done for yourself, especially when you look at the health system and all the benefits that people have once they have entered into their pension years. You know, I look at all the services and the lives that people are living in first world countries after they have pensioned. I'm like, yo, I wish our grandmothers knew. Because number one, if you are on a permanent residency visa, you get free health care. And there are a lot of benefits if you have a pensioner's card. You can live a soft life. You can be well taken care of. Yeah, you might end up in a retirement home. And there's no other way. It doesn't work like in Africa where, you know, family has to take care of you. You might end up in a retirement home, a retirement village. But at least you would be able to afford it if you are wise with your money. The other thing that I love about the idea of retiring in this country is that there's a lot of care that goes into, you know, people who are now older. So now you have this person who's going to assist you with going for medical appointments, buying your groceries, driving around, you know, all those kind of things. At least you have access to that. But then again, it also goes back to how you have managed your money. So just because you are above the age of 45, it does not mean that it is alpha and omega for you. It is done. You will not be able to relocate. You are able to relocate. There are many options and there are many ways around it, for as long as you find what is suited for you. Australia might be very difficult and very strict with their rules when coming to relocating, but I was very privileged in this journey of relocating and helping people to relocate, to be exposed to people who have relocated after the age of 45 and they're doing well. And I'm like, oh, you must tell people because they don't know. I've met so far, I think about 5 people. No. Not more. It is more than 5 people. Recently, I've met 2 guys who are they're not living in Australia, they're somewhere else. And they were explaining that there are some countries that do take people who are in their matured ages and they are well taken care of and the money is good and you settle well and you can enjoy your life as an immigrant in that country regardless of you being in that age group. So there is hope, you guys. For people who have parents who are in their 40s, 50s, who are like, well, I have to let you relocate alone. I can't go with you because of my age. Tell them that there's a girl on YouTube. Her name is Promise. She's telling you you can relocate. You can relocate with your children. You are able to do it. There is hope. There is hope, people. There is hope. So tell them that they can relocate. It does not matter how old they are. Don't write yourself off just because you are in your 50s. But when you are still alive, do you know how many people are gone and dead before they are 50? So you are so privileged to have air going in and out of your lungs. You are the chosen one. God usakubhekile. God is still keeping you here, and it is for a reason, and you might not know why. So it is okay for you to start dreaming at 40 or 45 or 50. It is not over until God says so. But when that KFC guy, Mr. Kentucky, Mr. Kentucky himself, he was in his 60s when he started that business, and look at us now. We are still chowing that chicken till this day. So there is hope. There is hope. You can relocate whenever you want to. And for people who are in their retired ages, there is this thing called a family visa. Let's say, for example, you've got your child living in Australia for however many years and they are now citizens or permanent residents. There is a visa for family members where you can apply for that visa for your parents, and you can have your parents then relocate with you in a later stage, even after they are 60, going into their 70s, knowing that you will be able to take care of them. Okay? So there is hope, you guys. Just because you don't fall in a particular age bracket, it doesn't mean that you will not ever be able to get a permanent residency visa or relocate to Australia. You are able to relocate at any point in time. The other thing, if you find it difficult to come to Australia, there are other countries that make it so easy and that are so much easier to get into even after the age of 45. So explore your options and see what is out there. If you are in your 30s, 40s, and you're thinking, okay, fine, I'll relocate after 10 years because I still want to sort this thing out, it's still okay. You can make that decision and be comfortable with it and be fine with it, knowing that there is hope. Obviously, with relocation, nothing is set in stone. They're always changing these conditions and everything. You never know if it is going to suit you at that point in time or not. You never know if you're going to qualify at that point in time. Or by that time, the president would have changed and they're like, I don't want these people in my country. You never really know. But there are always options. There are many options. There are many options. This world is so big. This world is round and big. Trust me, it is huge. So Australia doesn't have to be the destination. It is okay. You can come and visit. I'll give you accommodation. You'll be making good money. For as long as you're good with your money, you'll be able to travel the world whenever and however you want. The other thing that I want to talk about regarding people who would be relocating after the age of 45, for some of you guys, you would then have children who are in their matured ages, meaning that they'll probably be either adults at that time or younger or almost adults, young adults. You need to consider the following. If your child is above the age of 18, number one, they will have to write an English test. They will have to write an English testing for the permanent residency visa or the TSS visa or whatever visa that you're going to be getting. You need to put in the supporting documentation or something to support to say, I am still taking care of this young person, even if they are above the age of 18. So it could either be we're living together, we live in the same house, we share the same bills and all of that, or this person is still under my care because they're still in university, they're still going to school, and when they come to Australia, they'll be continuing with their studies. Do not leave your children behind. Include them in your visa, even if they're going to be staying behind to finish off their studies. But with that one, it is going to be tricky. We'll have a discussion about it hopefully one day, because there are time frames and time limitations as to how long you can stay in your home country after you have been granted a visa. If you get that visa and you don't relocate, it might get cancelled. So be a bit careful about that one. But my advice is include all your children, if possible, in your visa so that at least they have that visa should they need it. Because if you do not include your adult children in that visa, should they want to then relocate or join you, they'll either have to come on a family visa or a visiting visa. With a visiting visa, they do not have any working rights and they will not have the same benefits that you have. Let's say, for example, now you came on a permanent residency visa. So they won't have any Medicare or access to Centrelink, right? And that is no good. And then if you go for the family visa option, with that one, it does not have any time frames. It does not have any time frames to say you will get that visa within 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. It doesn't have a time frame because a lot of people are applying for those visas. It is very high in demand. A lot of people want their family members to come here. So it is very tricky with that one, and you don't want to find yourself in that position where you are separated from your children. They now want to join you in this country, and it is very difficult for them to do so because they would have to now seek their own visa. Okay, so make sure you look into including them in your visa, and hopefully you can come with them. And whether it is a TSS visa or a permanent residency visa, always consider bringing your children, even if they are adults, for as long as you can support and put in there that this person lives with me, they are under my care, financially, spiritually, mentally, all the Kalis in the world. Not all of them, but yes, they are still very much dependent on you. And when you leave, obviously you'll be selling your house and whatever, and they will be homeless. for example. So try and bring your adult children with you. You might regret it if you do not do that, okay? So there is that option. Always seek advice, ask questions. There is no stupid question in this world unless it is really stupid. Just ask the questions and hopefully you will get the right answer. And if you don't, look until you find the right answer. Anyways, you guys, I am done for today. I'll see you again in my next upload. Thank you so much for watching.